afternoon. MC from KC, the chairman of the United Minority Media Association, Inc. We are in the Midwest Southeast region, and also we're homegrown here in Kansas City, Missouri. We're going to be talking about reparations, which is my understanding that reparation long time ago with the freedmen and what have you, they provided them allegedly 40 acres and a mule. I don't think that happened. When you talk about mule, you talk about Missouri. Okay? So we have invited our two attorney co-hosts, which are Nimrod Chapel and also Mickey Dean of the Black United Front, and they will come aboard and introduce our two other guests. And also, we got to mention, we're talking about the Missouri Mule, we're talking about reparations, we're also talking about the Missouri Black Chamber of Commerce. Now, as far as the nation is concerned, the U.S. Senator Corey from New Jersey, that's his first name, Cory Booker, and he kind of brought it to the front when everybody's talking about reparations, and we'll cover a lot of subjects today. As soon as we get our two co-hosts on the line, on the phone, and then they will in turn introduce the other two prominent guests for today. Are we ready to roll?
I think so. This is Nimrod Chapel. Happy to be with you today, MC. And I'll let our other co-hosts introduce themselves.
Well, just as me, this is MC Dean. I'm with the local Kansas City chapter of the National Black United Front, currently in the midst of a fight for reparations. How you doing, Brother MC?
How you doing, sir? Long time. You always been so involved with everything when you was assistant down at the Human Relations Department for the city of Kansas City, Missouri.
Well, I try to stay active. That's the way I stay on top of the ground. I try to keep.
Okay. Who are the other two guests we have that you have extended the invitation to? We should have a very good, let me repeat that, once again, a very great show for our listeners all over to tune in. They can go YouTube, they can go Facebook, they can go our smartphone, and also the people can retrieve all our shows by going to Ferguson USA, Hot Talk Radio, the website, the homepage, and the podcast archive. Shall we begin?
Well, I've invited two of the hard-working people that work with us in our local KC Reparations Coalition. This is Kathy Persley and this is Justice Kathy. So hopefully they're with us.
Have they tune in yet? If not, let's proceed till we get them on the line.
All right. Well, I know that someone was going to give them a call at 5 o'clock, so hopefully they'll be getting connected.
Well, I hope that's being initiated now, okay?
What can that answer?
Well, we'll go back and try them in a little while, but let's proceed. Both attorneys, you can start us off.
All right. Well, if you would, let's tell everybody what the Black United Front is, what the work it's doing in Kansas City, and then let's talk about reparations once we get a better understanding about what that means.
Well, the National Black United Front was an organization that was founded in 1980 in a convention in Brooklyn, New York. This was at a time when the Black Power movement was kind of on the decline. There were a lot of, really been involved in by, the County Intelligence Program and some other things. But there were a lot of organizations who had been part of the Black movement, Black Power movement, that were still existing, but they were just scattered around the country. So the idea was to have a united front, a black united front, to try to bring those organizations together. These are organizations that are out of the Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X position, as opposed to the traditional civil rights organizations. Our focus has been mostly on independence and self-determination for itself. And we founded the Kansas City chapter in 1981. Excuse me. So we're this October will be our 40th year here in Kansas City. I'm one of the founding members of the part of the organization that's been formed. And basically, we've been doing work in the community for all those years. Working with on education, we developed independent African schools. We sponsored the annual citywide Kwanzaa celebration that we've been doing now for almost 40 years, for about 37 years. We have a youth program, Simba Fulani, it's a mentoring program. We have the Buy Black initiative, which is an initiative that we have to encourage folks to buy black. And we've got an app, phone app that includes all of the local black organizations. And one of our latest ventures, although we've been working a long time, is a community credit union. It's called Redevelopment Credit Union. A lot of our people are unbanked, and of course they're at the mercy of these check cashing places. So we think that if we can get this community bank online, that'll help out tremendously. So those are some of the things that we've been doing. Of course, reparations is a key part of our work, and we initiated a local reparations coalition here in town. It's consisted of us, the civil rights organizations, NCLC, NAACP, National Urban League, a group called Sankofa for Kansas City, the Nation of Islam, a group called Real Justice, and the Urban Summit. So those are the organizations that are part of this reparations coalition. So in a nutshell, that's kind of what we've been doing in Black United Front, and that's what we're doing with the reparations movement.
Excellent. And if you mentioned a lot of great programs, everything from education to inspiration. Can you tell folks how to get to, if they want to get in contact with the Black United Front, what's the easiest way?
The easiest way would be to go to the, mainly because I'm good. Usually we go to the Facebook page, which would be National Black United Front Kansas City. But I would just say, since I'm on the line now, if anybody wants to get in touch with Black United Front, they can give me a call. They can give me at 816-527-6616. Now, we have a young leadership meeting now, and I'm not in office with the organization, but just for today's purposes, if anybody wants to get a hold of Black United Front, they can go to our Facebook page. For the folks that don't do that, they can just call me directly at that number.
MC, that's a real leader right there. Mr. Dean just gave people his direct cell phone number to get in contact with an organization that's doing so much. That says a lot. That says a lot. Well, Mr. Dean, tell us about the fight for reparations. I know that was initially started, I think, with a bill by Representative Sheila Jackson Lee out of Texas a while back. But tell us progress and what hurdles we still there.
Well, I'll give you the short version. I mean, reparations goes back to right before the end of the Civil War. I mean, everybody knows this phrase, 40 acres and view, but that was the initial promise to people after the enslavement ended. What happened was General Sherman, who was in charge of the Union Army, Northern Army, basically wanted to know what did you get ready to free these folks, and the question becomes, well, what becomes of them? And so he sent one of his representatives to meet with a group of black ministers in Savannah, Georgia. And he looked at questions up, and he said, what we want is land, and we need the materials that we need to work the land. And if you give us that, and we can make ourselves sufficient. So they had taken some land from the leaders of the old Confederacy, and they were going to get 400,000 acres. This is from Carolina down to Florida, 30 miles inland from the coast to the former enslaved people. And actually, it should have been about 40,000 acres, but then Lincoln was assassinated. Andrew Johnson became president. Andrew Johnson was the supporter of the Senate, and he ended that. And so black folks never got to their 40 acres. Now, that was the real thing. That wasn't just a quote. They were going to divide those 40,000 acres up into 40 acre parks. But that didn't happen. And so there's really been a fight for reparations ever since. But I'm going back to the present day. In 1987, it was Congressman John Conyers from Michigan, he's actually from Detroit, I believe, who introduced for the first time H.R. 40, which is the bill that would call for a study initially determined if white folks could do investing. And he would introduce that bill year after year after year after year. It never got a hearing. And eventually, he got from Congress and he passed away a couple years ago. Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee then took the leadership of it. Now, a few years ago, the bill was revised from a study bill down to an action bill because the idea that the need for reparations has really been very well articulated over the years. So that's no longer a question. Now the question becomes, how do we carry it out? And that's what the H.R. 40 is currently about. For the first time in the history of this bill since 1987, there's a hearing in Congress this year, and the bill passed out of the Judiciary Committee, and hopefully at some point this summer fall, maybe in the House of Representatives. There are currently about 180 total co-sponsors, and of course you need 214 in the House to pass. There's optimism that this reparations bill might get passed out of the House. For some but there's optimism that it might get passed. The Senate, of course, is another animal, and it'll be much tougher. But that's where it stands right now.
Okay.
And what's happening is that there are a lot of local areas, right, that they support each other for it, but they say, in our city, there are institutions that historically have discriminated against black folks, have historically oppressed black people, and so we feel that we are owed reparations by these local institutions that are responsible for redlining, that are responsible for underfunded schools, that are responsible for poor health care, issues that we have in the criminal justice system. So there have been a lot of cities now that have established local reparations to look for local reparations, and that's what we have here in Kansas City, and that's the group that I just referenced. We're studying 5 areas: education, health care, criminal justice, economics, and home ownership. And we're trying to figure out historically what has happened to black people in all of those areas that have caused us to be in the position that we're in here in Kansas City. Who's responsible? And once we determine that, then what are the remedies that we see? So that's the work of our local reparations coalition.
If you just tune in and you listen to Guess Who's Coming to Kansas City and a special broadcast on reparations, we have been very, we are so happy was able to get 2 co-hosts, both fraternities, Nimrod Chapel and Mickey Bean. Do we have the other ladies who? So they want. I know you mentioned Miss Lee out of Texas, and I was talking about Corey Booker out of New Jersey. But do we have our other 2 persons on the line yet? If not, let the men lead the way.
I called them home twice, so no answer so far.
Well, this is a man's world, right, gentlemen?
you won't hear me say that. By the way, MC, I consider myself a recovering attorney. Never an attorney. I'm a recovering attorney.
but you still was a dynamic attorney.
Right. And I'm sorry, Brother Dean. I think once you're in for life.
Okay, all right.
It's okay. Well,
Go ahead.
In the past, it seems like I've thought about reparations as being something controversial, or at least I think a lot of people just don't understand it. And you broke it down with 40 acres and a mule. From a legal perspective, can you tell us what reparations really mean?
Well, there have been attempts at lawsuits for reparations, but I think that all of those lawsuits have failed for various issues, establishing limitations and standing, and so I think over the years we've decided that the legal route is really not the way to go. That it's going to have to be legislated, and so that's why the focus is now on HR 40 in Congress, and even at the local on the local area, the focus is on city government and city institutions. I just don't think there's it's not so much a legal argument anymore. It's an argument of what is owed us. I mean, most folks, when they talk about reparations, they go back to slavery, which is clear, unpaid labor. 150, 160, 200 years of unpaid labor. But it's more than that. I mean, there was the whole era of Jim Crow, where black folks were discriminated against, particularly by the U.S. government. I mean, you had things like after World War II, the GI Bill, which was denied to a lot of black veterans, and that's how a lot of white captors start with the home ownership and education and those kind of things were denied black folks. So and then all the way up to the civil rights era and all the way up to today. So black folks have been oppressed and discriminated in this country since we've been here. And so all of that is taken into consideration when we talk about what we owe. It's not just slavery. The other thing is that when a lot of people think about reparations, they think of a check. It's all about a check. I mean, that's a part of it. We're talking about the institutional kinds of things like maybe some tax relief or maybe some money set aside for business opportunities, maybe scholarships, maybe money for independent schools. I mean, reparations can take a lot of different forms, much more than a check. But it's a tough battle. But we're seeing progress being made. Like I said, we've got a hearing now coming up in Congress. There's been institutions like a lot of the there's been some religious institutions that have realized that a lot of their existence is based on either selling slaves or owning slaves. So some of the religious institutions now have set aside money for reparations. We have universities like Georgetown that have finally recognized the fact that Georgetown would not exist if it had not been for slave labor, selling slaves. So Georgetown is now trying to find those descendants and offer them free education. So there's been some cracks in this whole reparations thing. The city of Evanston, Illinois, actually got a reparations ordinance passed because they had a funding source coming in with the cannabis tax. So they didn't have to raise the current treasury. They just, I think, allocated about 10% of the cannabis tax to reparations. So the movement is step by step making progress. So that's why we're out. That's why we keep cutting. What other guests join us on the line?
Oh, good. Who's talking about?
Hi, it's Justice. My apologies. I couldn't locate your number. But I'm here and definitely a fighter for reparations. It's something that we're demanding. We deserve it, and so we're fighting for it.
Yeah. Let me just add, Brother Mark, that I was out at the Juneteenth parade handing out flyers, and those flyers were designed on short notice by Sister Justice, and so we're very appreciative of Sister Justice, and thank you for that, Sister Justice. We handed out 400 flowers today, so Sister Justice, now speak for us.
Thank you, Papa. Let me give credit to where it's due. I just connected us with a graphic artist. So I give the credit to the graphic artist who worked with us. I'm a connector. My mentor, maybe Isla, some of y'all know her, was a connector, and so I try to walk in that and connect people, connect our community, do whatever I can, do my part. So happy to do it. Yes.
Justice, and we were just together last weekend, virtually within a understand of justice of what's going on in Howard County, where we were arguing about the injustice suffered by two young African American college kids targeted by local police departments out here in Missouri. It's good to be with you again this afternoon.
Absolutely, absolutely. I can't get rid of good company. We got the fighters on the line today. This is great.
And we know what you do. There might be a person or two listening that is not familiar with your profit, with your advocacy, or know of it, but just not know of you. Would you just take a couple of minutes and share the work that you've been doing?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I'm the founder of a group called Real Justice Network. We, I call myself a social justice doula, but that just means that we meet our communities with the level of care that we would a birthing family, recognizing that we have faced generational trauma, generations of trauma that has been ignored. And so a part of the work that we do, we bail black mamas out of jail. Yes, we do. We get them out because women in particular are doing a lot of work in the household. And when you take a mama from the house, you are impacting so many people. She's a caregiver. She's providing income. She's doing all the things that people don't think about. And so when she's gone and is incarcerated, that causes huge problems for the family, not to mention an unfair system such as pretrial detention, a pay-to-play system in which you must have some money in order to get out. But we know that you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, and so some people sit in jail over $500, losing their whole life. And for us, that makes no sense. And so in the spirit of Mary Hook, we freeing our people just like our ancestors had to buy each other during slavery. It's very personal to me, quite frankly. And so that's a bit of the work we do. We support survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault. We ride for our brothers who are discriminated against. As a matter of fact, we ride for the next week in Fayette, Missouri. We're going to stand in solidarity with them as they go through their court case. So check us out. We have a website, REALE, Real Justice Network. We're fighting for reparations. We are not playing. We're not asking for pennies. We're coming for what's been ours. So thank you for allowing me a little bit of an opportunity to tell a little bit about me.
And Brother Jim, I can ask a quick question. I know we're focused on reparations, but I just wanted to ask Mr. Justice, or maybe you might know them. What's the status of this money bail issue? I know that the efforts around the country eliminate money bail because it's very discriminatory. I mean, it's really hurting people who can't afford bail. You can do it every month. You can afford bail, you can get out. But is there a movement here to get rid of this whole money bail thing?
Yes. There is a movement. We've been working on some policies to attack this. I mean, we have to be very careful because there were other places in New York and Jersey who, so-called ended money bail, but they left it to the discretion of judges who were, continued on in their racist practices. We really have to be careful about how we set up what that looks like. But there is a movement across the country. There's a movement in Missouri in money bail. Folks from Movement for Black Lives have been pushing this as well. And so, yes, Barbara, there is a real national movement within Castell.
Okay, well, I didn't want to just mention that, but it's very, I always try to support the other mothers out there. It's critical work you've definitely been doing on that. So I just wanted to get an update on that. How about that, Brother Nimrod?
Oh, no, so true. Well, and it ties in so well, Brother Bean, just what we see and what we talk about with Jim Crow and these systems of racism that are still present today, and that reparations can and often is tied to the injustice and indignities of slavery on our ancestors and where that put us. the systems, many of them are still here. And I think that the Bell project from others is illustrative of that. You know, do you know in Kansas City if there's any discussion? I know that we're talking about legalizing cannabis just generally for recreational use. This will be another significant tax base. Has there been any discussion about following Evanston's move to provide some level of reparations?
You know, I don't know. You know, I don't know what the status of the cannabis issue here is. I know in some of our discussions in the coalition, one of the issues that came up was, you know, if we're approaching the city government, what would be a source of money source? And of course, I mean, the cannabis tax would certainly be something that we look at using the model of Evanston, but I'm just not sure where it is right now. Maybe the gentleman may have more information on that.
There's a group called Taking People's Agenda that's taking on a piece of this as it relates to just a few things here. The licenses for cannabis industry, right? So first of all, we're calling that for the release of certain people who are incarcerated while already wealthy white men continue to make more money. So first of all, that's that. We need to do an expungement of those records, but then also create a pathway so that they can enter into this economic system. And of course, provide education for other people who want to, and to set aside a certain number of licenses so that they can do so. I will say today, the way that process has rolled out, they did not think about equity, not at all, not one iota. You would have to spend about $10,000 to $14,000 to even apply for a license that you're not guaranteed. So that effectively eliminates a lot of people from even applying. Those are the things that we're pushing for, and you all know that ours comes through the health department. So we're going to have to work with them to try to figure out that. But they released something a couple of weeks ago to talk about how they were going to be more equitable in their work and in their practices, and so we're going to hold them to their words to see what they are willing to do and move on as it relates to this. But this is a critical issue because you have dueling views, but you got white men. I'm sorry, in Missouri, they got the majority of those licenses. And while we continue to have black and indigenous folks incarcerated over this business. So, Baba, that's what I know that's happening in Missouri. I know in St. Louis, folks who are with the Movement for Black Lives, they are doing some work in this regard as well. But a lot more needs to happen.
And I know that I mentioned earlier that we have these 5 subcommittees that are looking into 5 areas of damage done to us. One being criminal justice, and I know that in terms of the potential demand for reparatory justice in the criminal justice subcommittee is that not all the sisters and brothers in jail on weed charges because there's sister justice there. You got folks now getting ready to get wealthy off of it, and we still got sisters and brothers languishing in prison on some old weed charges. And so all those sisters and brothers need to be back.
Yes, that is the truth. That is the truth. You know, I think about Brother Strickland, who is still stuck, incarcerated, although everybody admits that he's supposed to be out, that he's free. You know, if we can't fix injustices on the individual level, we are all going to have to come together to get what we as a folk or a people need to fix past injustice.
And that one is just a hard one to stomach, man. I saw him in an interview with him last night. That's just a hard one to stomach, man. That was just sticking to me. So.
Yeah. I'm with you because, you know, Strickland, Lamar Johnson, Marcellus Williams, of course, Ricky Gibbs was able to get out, but, you know, what about those 20 years, 2 decades lost? It's terrible. It's terrible. There's a lot of injustices that we can fix, on the path to reparations here in Missouri, what would be the top 3 things that we and our listening audience can do?
Well, I know here in Kansas City, and one of the things that we did today when we were handing out our leaflets is to provide some contact information to citizens here in Kansas City. One of the things that really needs to be done is we really are trying to do a better job of educating our community on what is really repertory justice, what it means, and in some concrete measures that they can see. Like, for example, if we talked about letting go all of the sisters and brothers that are in jail on legal charges, or if we talked about developing even a pool of money to develop our own educational institutions, or if we talk about things like scholarships for black people. But the main thing right now is we need some work done in all 5 of those areas. A lot more research we've got to do. And so we're looking for people to do 2 things. One is to help us with that research, but on the other hand, is just to advocate reparations here in the local community, because as you know, locally, nationally, there's a lot of opposition to reparations, particularly from the white community, and it's a battle. And so we need soldiers in this battle. And so what we're trying to do now is, I think we developed a email address, and so we're just trying to get people to contact us so that we can get them involved in the local reparations movement.
If you just tune in, you listen to a special broadcast. This is MC Richardson on reparations. But on the same token, I was quoting from a song. This is a man world, and a lot of people now broke their arm, and they said it would be nothing without a woman. And we appreciate the sister joining us and get us straight us out, you might say. So continue with your broadcast, and also call your friends. Tell them to tune in to Ferguson USA Hot Talk Radio. We're on the air now. Don't miss out on this.
Well, and that's so true. That's so true. It's funny. You mentioned Buzine passing out the flyers today. You get 400 that way. They'll be able to take that back to their homes and communities, churches, and everything. This podcast, this recording that we shareable, is another way that we can also get the information out. So let's remember that as we go forward, even after today.
And I might add that the folks that organize the Juneteenth, I think they call it KC Juneteenth, they really made offers. They want reparations to be a key part of the Juneteenth movement, and so they have one session that's coming up I think it's called Coffee and Conversation. It's with the mayor, Chris Lucas, and Councilwoman Melissa Robinson, and they've invited us to participate in that. That's Saturday on the 19th as part of Juneteenth. And then also, they've invited us to create a workshop on reparations during the whole Juneteenth celebration. So that's something that we're going to be doing also. So we're trying to take every opportunity possible to educate our people about this whole reparations issue. And I really enjoyed getting out talking to people today as we were handing out. Some people are more aware of the reparations movement than others, but that's our job, education work.
Right. No, and that's beautiful. That is beautiful. Well, and talking about local leaders, are you, has Mayor Lucas said publicly how he feels about reparations, or is that something that's going to come out of the Juneteenth that we need to be watching for?
Well, and Jeff is only examining this, but I had listening for that, and I sent him an email because, and one of the things I failed to mention is that we did get an ordinance passed to the Kansas City Council in support of H.R. 40, the national reparations legislation, and that was really, and I give Councilwoman Melissa Robinson a lot of credit because she didn't lead on that. But prior to that, I had heard the mayor on a radio talk show, and that question was put to him, and about reparations. He just danced all around it, but I will say that when the ordinance was first introduced, the mayor signed on as a co-sponsor. All of the 4 Black Council people, the mayor, Kathy Fields, and I think Councilman Bunch all signed on as co-sponsors. And I saw him yesterday. He was part of the leadership of the Juneteenth parade. I had him a flyer, and I said, "Well, here, what's the operations?" And he said, I'm with that. I'm with it. So I said, "Okay." So
Yeah. Hey.
but he was a co-sponsor of the ordinance, and so as far as I'm concerned, he's on board.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, that's
Probably, I don't know, but co-sponsor the ordinance.
right on. Right on. Yes. Yes. Well, and it is through local movements that I think that the national will have support for what needs to be done. Are there other cities in Missouri that are taking a similar approach, that are being proactive and not just sitting back?
You think it's St. Louis, Justin?
I would say St. Louis.
Okay.
There are various things going on. There's something called participatory budgeting that's happening, right? It allows for community to take control over large pieces of city budgets. I know that Richard Jones is working with her community to put a process in place to do just that. We're hoping that there too, just the same. That's a little bit different, but it's still very, very helpful in bringing dollars into our. But I would say St. Louis. Who are part of movement for Black Lives, in particular Montego, who was also a part of the big opening in, I want to say, D.C. for the National HR 40. So, Montego Simmons, I know you know that brother in St. Louis.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So, they were part of this movement, part of the work.
Good.
And also, ACLU, have they been doing work in the state justice or reparations?
So ACLU has been working with our national. I've been a part of our national reparations committee, working across the country. Honestly, right before the pandemic hit, we were supposed to do a major event in St. Louis, school reparations, but the pandemic kind of took over, and we weren't able to do that. But ACLU National is working right along with some of the key players here, Representative Lee and others, the National Reparations Committee, those folks, and yes, they are in support.
Yeah. Well, and hopefully we'll be able to get that program that had been planned for Missouri back on track. That was wonderful.
So yes, I'm going to reach that also. And actually, this time will be so much better because Kansas City has taken this strong position. And so now we could actually do a statewide effort, which I think would be even better. What we were trying to do.
Yes. Well, and I can speak at least for the Missouri State Conference of the NAACP. As its president, we are in favor of reparations. We will be standing with you, Sister Justice, with you, Blessed Dean, as we move forward and trying to not only educate the folks, but get ready for that fight. We have been trying to monitor some of the legislation, the proposed initiative ballot process, and I have to say that you couldn't be more right, Mr. Justice. It does fall short. It falls short in terms of recognizing passing equities and using this as an opportunity to fix it. I know there are a couple of different measures, and so we'll be analyzing those and, of course, sharing our perspective on those with you, both of you, and others as we go forward. So,
I will say that the local NAACP chapter is a part of our coalition. In fact, when we were putting the coalition together, one of the things we did was we looked at all the national organizations that had endorsed HR 40 that were based out of local affiliates. Those people were going to go after. Of course, the national NAACP has endorsed HR 40. And so we approached Reverend Rocky here, and so they joined in with the coalition.
Good. That's great. That's absolutely right. Yeah. It's the shame of it is that there's so much work that has to be done. That's the rough part. trying to fix these past inequities and make sure they don't get any worse. But,
I hate to do this, but I've got to drop off. I've got to go. But I want to say to our kids who are folks in Kansas City, Baba Dean is going to keep talking to you, but please reach out to us, email us. We're going to be out in the community. You're going to see us more. We are going to have educational events. We need you to get involved. We need your voice. For those of you who have expertise, research, we need to talk to you. We are going to make a robust effort. And remember, you all, this is our right. This is our legacy. This is our heritage that has been stolen from us. We are prisoners of war in a country that has stolen from our people, and we intend to make repairs for that. We intend to not to do that for ourselves, but for our posterity and for our children. So thank you for allowing me space and time. I'm so sorry that I have to go early. But we're going to fight for reparations.
And you all can see with Mr. Justice the kind of warriors he got on this case, so y'all get to look at it.
Yes. Thank you so much, Sister. Glad you're with us today. Working with you in the future. All right.
And I want to give out the email address for our coalition, and it's KC Reparations Coalition @gmail.com.
Good. KC Reparations Coalition @gmail.com. Okay.
That's it.
Okay. Good. You know, it occurs to me that since this fight has been going on for a while, are there other local organizations that you've partnered with that you haven't mentioned?
When we put the coalition together, first of all, it was very important. Years ago, back in the 80s, I ended up a lot of the local Indian hardship work. And even though it started in Black communities, it was an issue that we really tried to unite around. All the people that support what was going on in South Africa, such as what was going on in South Africa. So when we look at this movement, that because we're talking about representing against Black people, it has to be a Black community. And that's critical. Black people have to determine what repertoire justice looks like. But at the same time, we're open to anybody, because we represent everything for reparations to Black people. And so we're looking for a and everybody, all the folks that are interested in supporting reparations. And that has, people say, we are interested, let's see what we can do. But it has to be like that. But this is an issue that we want to get involved in, so we'll need that to make progress.
Nothing was actually. I'm trying to listen to the whole program here, and I'm in the Missouri Chamber of Commerce, and on our national level, we have taken a similar approach, but what we have found, we have created a vehicle. Whereas a lot of your major white corporations and stuff, and who have done business in the past and had not done business in the past, willing right now to write bill tickets, I call them, for the past sins. And we have created a vehicle that's become very successful. For white corporations reach out to the Black community in the business sector, and we have created a website. It's AmericanDreamMarketplace.com that has become very successful in that I was on a Zoom call, yes, I'm on the board, and where we had a company come to the table that's willing to offer an increase of programs in digital currency, so to speak. And we have over 1,000 scholarships, and each one is worth about $5,000 program where they can enroll and be trained how to make money thrown out the gate, but $90,000 once to get trained. so we look at from that perspective as well as other big corporations also come to the table with us also. That's opportunity like that also going forward.
Well, one of the things that you notice, and this happens after the whole uprising, after the George Floyd murder last year, and of course you know the uprising that caused. One of the things that the corporate leadership, and I call it influence of interest for me. And one of the things that those corporate leaders are interested in putting a cap on any type of really progressive revolutionary type activity. They don't want to see that in the country. They don't want to see that opposite. So one of the things that they think to do is that, okay, how can we get ahead of this curve? Let's just throw a bunch of money out there. And of course, I mean, that's something that people should take advantage of course. But I have no faith in corporations. Corporations that have no interest in systemic change in this country, particularly in terms of white supremacy and racism. And we have to understand that what they do in their own interest. And right now, it's in their interest to put money into, into all of these black organizations, et cetera, because what they're trying to do is feed off them. Because ultimately, they're the ones that basically set policy. They're the ones that pay for the policy. So they're the ones that put all this money into lobbying, get legislation passed that favors corporate interests. It does not necessarily favor the interest of the majority of people. So we understand where corporations are coming from. We cannot let them co-opt our movement. But if they offer like you said, scholarships, or if they offer money, that kind of thing, as long as there's no strength attached to it, that's fine. But we have to understand what the ultimate interests of corporations are, and it's not any kind of real substantive change in terms of the oppressive institutions in this country. And that's my opinion. That ain't the coalition's opinion. That's my opinion.
No, I agree with 1,000% on that. That's real, but this is just one program. We have several corporations that are generating grants, $25,000 or more, $5,000, $10,000, with no strings attached, for the most part. They understand, I call them bill checks, so I mean, any kind of way you can approach it. But there's a lot of ways, there's a lot of this has to be straightened out.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that I'm always careful about.
Me too. We're
on the same page.
Don't take my word. No. Take my word for I've done here a long time. I've been on the front a long time, and that's why I'm very understandable. What the game's being played, how it's being played. And we don't want
in fact, what they're giving up really is pennies on the dollar for what they expect over the years to black community. For example, here in Kansas City, I think a lot of folks are familiar with the J.C. Nichols country. That was one of the main real estate countries. J.C. Nichols, in fact, was one of the people in this country who basically wrote the redlining restrictions. He was over the influential of the National Housing Authority when it was first created back in the 40s. And it was his redlining policies that were adopted throughout the country. And that's recognized here in Kansas City. And of course, they taken J.C. Nichols' name off of the thing. He instituted a lot of very racist policies that basically denied a lot of black people the opportunity to become homeowners. And so even though that particular company now does not exist, we've been looking at the successor companies to say, maybe somewhere down this line, we're going to find out who's responsible for some of the misery that the Nichols company caused black folks. So there are a lot of corporate responsibility, and so we're planning on going up to them too for some other church. So we can consider that all the money that's coming out now, we can consider that a part of reconciliation, but there's a lot more that they got to do.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about Jesse Clyde Nichols, who was born in Olathe, Kansas, and he created the dividing line, Truce Avenue, and where he's buried is the Forest Hill Cemetery, 6901 Truce, on the east side of Truce, he and his wife. But you need programs like this. Guess who's coming to Kansas City? And all our contributors to keep us, to wake us up, shake us up, get our young people involved, and let's continue working together in order to bring some reality here.
Yes, that's the truth. Boy, I tell you what. So we, where we've been with reparations, we have a good idea about how we need to move forward. But then, can you give us your best argument? That I know whenever you start talking about we need to have equal justice or equality, that you can end up with folks trying to tell you no. What's the best argument that you can just share with someone who may be not opposed to it, but just ignorant of the need for reparations?
Come on, we don't need no silence here. We need people to tell us what's going on and how we can best deal with it.
Okay, if you look at the racial wealth gap, I think the average wealth of a white family is about 10 times the average wealth, or median, I should say, median wealth of a black family. How did that happen? All of that is a result of not only the fact that we did not get these types of justice and labor, but of all the discriminatory laws that have been up to this point. White folks have been given every advantage possible. The Homestead Act gave white families, when they were trying to take native people's land, I think Congress or something like that. White folks did not get that. The GI Bill, white folks got that. White folks did not get that. All of this is the things that were the middle class and want to work, and not because of any social issues with the black people. It's because black people have been oppressed ever since we've been in this country. And so the estimate is that if we only do the kind of programs like affirmative action, births, etc., enterprise zones, if we only stick to those things, it will be over 200 years before black people can catch up with white folks in terms of closing that wealth gap. Most of us ain't got 200 years. So reparations is the only type of intervention that we see that can really bring about equality in this country. And that's our main argument. We are black folks are old. This is not handout. White folks have handout centuries now. Black people are old just for what we contributed to this country. And that's our primary argument.
Right on. I don't know if there would have been a better way to put it.
Well, nothing's happened in the Tulsa massacre. Nobody arrested. The same thing that happened in Helena, Arkansas, and Ketcher, Arkansas. This is happening worldwide, not just here. But we need to come together and wake up and let's start doing something collectively.
Yes. Well, and because other groups have, right? African Americans are not the only ones to ask for some recompense for past injustices, and not to even compare anybody's justices, but during internment camps, Asian Americans, they receive reparations, didn't they?
In fact, H.R. 40 was initially fashioned after the legislation that was still Justice Japanese. I can't think of the exact name of that bill, but that was one of the H.R. 40 was basically the pattern after that legislation. And of course, Native people, they've received some form of reparations over the years, not what they deserve, of course, because this country is dead. But so there's some history of giving, offering reparations, just not to us.
Right. Boy, it is hard to believe. Well, we're kind of getting down to the bottom of our program. Brother Dean, if you would, just one more time, tell folks the best way to reach out to the Black United Front there in Kansas City.
Well, if it's the Black United Front, I would say we have a Facebook page, National Black United Front Kansas City, or because I don't have the other contact information in front of me, you can call me directly. It can be 816-527-6616. And if it's reparations you're interested in, KC Reparations Coalition at gmail.com.
Right on. Thank you. And I'm Nimrod Chappell with the Chappell Law Group. I'm also president of the Thursday Conference of the NAACP. And Brother Dean, I'm going to follow your lead. I'm going to give my phone number, 816-309, 5009, 816-309-5009. It helps that folks who want to get in contact with lawyers or advocates can do that.
You know, this is a perfect way to conclude this particular show, but we want a continuation to get more people involved. My name is MC Richardson. I'm the chairman of the United Minority Media Association, tax exempt. We've been here 46 years, as well as working with the various groups. And what we haven't done, and shows like this will make people more cognizant that we really haven't promoted ourselves like we should. We're the senior minority media advocacy group in the nation. And I've been knowing our brother Dean for X amount of years. He even used to participate in our golf deals when he took time out for his recreation. Okay, and then Nimrod, of course, our folks, it's not his fault that he was born in Louisiana and Mississippi, but he now resides in St. Louis. He's a tremendous boost to this economy, and shows like this really wake all of us up and keep. But you got to stay tuned. You got to tune in. You got to join with the membership to get more involved. You got to reach out and tell the people, I don't know that. Please educate me or orientate me. And I want to thank you very much. Speaking of Juneteenth, Mr. Brother Dean, that'll be our show for next week. And you should join us again in this, because you guys are doing, a lot of people don't know how Juneteenth got started. But if you tune in next week at 5 o'clock, from 5 to 6, you'll find out. Now, I'll tell about, what's that little group you got in St. Louis? Missouri Black Chamber of Commerce?
Well, the Missouri Black Chamber of Commerce is the first of the group organization that started this program. I do a program every Saturday from 1 to 3, and I can afford to, when it came from the radio station, Richardson USA Radio.com conference after I got started, and we are, and I will put my number on also, that's our folks, at 314-308-2591, and I have a program where every Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m., and we likewise will be on the road next week in Juneteenth Festival here in Downtown Neighbors, where the mayor is the former state representative and former candidate for lieutenant governor Thomas Pearson, the mayor out there. We have our congresswoman there, and also our first black judge, he will let you remember, he participated along with his beautiful wife, and a couple of our county executives also, so we have to be broadcast live on ChristianUSAAudio.com.
Yes, what you should always write that down. Repeat that again, Howard, so the people know to write it down, how to get in touch. Also, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on the different smartphone, iPhone, and we come to and we also online to go all throughout America and the world. So our close us out. Now hold it. No, I'm sorry, our Nimrod, close us out.
All right. Thank you all so much. It's been a beautiful afternoon. Let's keep this fight up for reparations. Let's continue to support each other, our communities, our organizations. And the best way that we can do that right now is by spreading the word, increasing education about the advocacy going on, about reparations. Today's program has just been dynamic. Thank you, Brother Dean, MC Richardson, Ira. I just want to say thanks to the folks who put this show together, including our fantastic engineer, making this a possibility. Let's share this as much as possible. And let's be connected, stay connected. Thank you so much.